area that you'd like to discuss at this time?
Well, we have a number of events coming up. One is this coming Saturday and Sunday. We have the stage, screen, and TV actress Ella Joyce, who some might remember from the TV show Rock with Charles Dutton, the star Charles Dutton. And she played the wife. And so she's done a lot of things since then. She's coming to our theater to do two things. One is a exercise program for adults who need to get up off their feet and try to move around a bit, and it's a fun activity that is designed to it's using some of the music from the 60s and 70s, and she calls it Funkicize. And so it's a program that will run at the theater from 4 to 6 o'clock on Saturday the 8th. And then on Sunday, we do a afternoon with Ella Joyce, and it's kind of a master class for people in the performing arts, people who are practicing in the entertainment field now, as well as up-and-coming students of the arts and of the theater. And she's going to do a master class about Broadway, TV serial work that she's done, as well as movies, her work in Hollywood. So that's going to take place, again, on the 8th and the 9th. And then coming up on the 22nd of October, we have none other than the great, iconic Dick Gregory, who will be coming to our theater. He's going to be talking about the upcoming election and some of the things going on today. As you know, he's an iconic figure. There's not too many people who can say that they literally worked with and shook the hands of and talked with Jack Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Medgar Evers, and still remember all of that and still tell you about it in a very real context. So he's a real treasure, and we're happy to have him there on Saturday, October 22nd at 8 o'clock. And he'll be joined by jazz artist Onaje Allen Gums. And so those are the events coming up there. Then in November, from November 4th to the 20th, we're doing an August Wilson play, Two Trains Running. That play was on Broadway, and it was one of his best plays. It takes place in the 60s in Detroit, and it's really fitting for some of the things that are still going on in Detroit. A lot of water's passed under the bridge since the 60s. But as you know, August Wilson is one of the premier African-American playwrights whose work and his commitment is to create a cycle of plays covering the 20th century. And before he passed away, he really accomplished that. And there's not a lot of writers who can I guess you can say boast of such an incredible self-assignment he gave himself to cover the 20th century in a cycle of plays, but he was able to accomplish it, and we're going to be presenting that play. Our play runs on Fridays and Saturdays at 8, Sundays at 4. We do dinner theater with our facility. It features some really wonderful actors, people like Doug Wade and Sean Turner, Robert Wright, just a number of people who, and a really well-known iconic director, Bet Howard, who has worked with theater for a number of years. So we're just really proud and happy to be being able to present these activities as being the opening of our season. This is our 47th theater season, and we've been around 47 years. I'm the theater's founder, and it has been a sublime experience to be able to present works of pertinent social significance to our community and to provide culture in a place. We're in Jamaica. where there wasn't a lot of cultural activities available going back some years. So we're proud to have been to be a part of and have been a part of this idea of bringing filling the cultural void in our community.
I'm trying to sum up the experience, the challenges that you had to face to put something like this on. So,
well,
yes,
no, it's a good question. The challenges were many,
yes.
and I think that those challenges spanned across politics, rallying people together, going through the community and talking to churches and schools and community centers and trying to let people understand what they were actually missing. You know, sometimes you don't know what you're missing until you literally get it, and then it's taken away. And so first we had to convince people that this was an important element to add to the lifeblood of the community. And it's just as important, to me, it's just as important as the local pharmacy or the local church. You know, the ability to come to a theater and watch on stage some of the things that you might be going through in your own life is powerful stuff. And it's the kind of stuff that allows us to keep us well and to keep us connected to our culture. And so those were some of the initial things. Funding was a big issue. You know, for many, many years we were doing this, and it was just, where's the money coming from? And we collectively pool our money and put it together and buy our own lights and props and all of those things. And then it's the dynamic of trying to keep a group together. That's probably the hardest out of everything because, you know, groups are a hard thing to keep together. And I think in those early years, a lot of credit goes to some of the original members of the theater and those people who saw the validity in our mission. And so they dedicated their time and gave of themselves to try to make sure that an institution like Black Spectrum Theater developed. So yeah, those are the obstacles. Some of the obstacles, you know, I need not mention some of the people who didn't agree with that. I need not mention the people who believe that African American culture was just as important as European culture. I don't need to mention those people who figured that if it wasn't on Broadway or happening in Manhattan, that it must not be that relevant. So those were some of the other things that got in the way. But in spite of all of that, we endured through time and perseverance to at least build a legitimate operation that allowed people to come and not only see plays, but to learn how to create plays and take acting and understand how important the arts and culture is to not only the community, but the educational system in the community.
That's great. And so the Black Spectrum Theater has pretty much always been in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens?
We have always been in Queens. We've taken shows off Broadway. We've been asked by some to move our theater into Manhattan or into a main thoroughfare in Queens. And our view has always been that this is a community theater. And my initial reading and understanding of theater in the early days was based on my readings of the Southern Free Theater and the work that they did in the South to register people to vote and to let them understand how important voting was. And so they would go throughout the community into the rural areas and provide theater experiences with a message. And so there's some of that rubbed off on us, I guess you could say, as we continued our work in doing theater in a community that was that for the most part is an underserved community. So that's the kind of work we've done, and so we've continued to try to serve other underserved communities throughout the community, throughout the city, and also throughout the United States. We've been down to Washington. A lot of people don't know we have 25 films under our belt also. One of them a feature film in which we talked about young people getting involved in the youth vote. And before our film in 1995, before that film was released, nobody was ever talking about the youth vote and how important it was. And our first film, which was shot here in Southeast Queens, was shown on BET all over the country, and it starred Dougie Fresh and a young lady called Lisa Nicole Carson, who went on to fame on the Ally McBeal TV show and working with Denzel Washington and so forth. But this film really began to put the idea in the community that young people should be a part of the equation for the voting population. And so that's what that film talked about. We've done, my first film was Babies Making Babies, one of the first films in modern time to talk about teen pregnancy and urban encounters, what to do if you get stopped by the police. These are films that we've done with a message that were aimed at instructing the community on how to deal with issues that pop up. So we have a lot of those films, and it's part of our African American urban teen film library. And so those are the kind of things. We don't just do theater. You should also know we have about 50 concerts under our belt. We've had everybody at our theater from Roberta Flack to Stanley Turrentine to Roy Ayers, Norman Connors, you name it, Angela Bofield. They've all done concerts at our facility. And so, our whole goal has been to bring those kinds of, for want of a better word, those kinds of shiny events that one would normally attribute to going into Manhattan or going to Broadway, and bringing that into the community. So our Broadway has been right here in our community, and that's been our purpose and our mission, to uplift our community, challenge them with things that are going on, and make them think about things that they should think about if we're going to make this a better community.
Do you have anyone that started with
Sure.
Black Spectrum and they're doing great things today that we may know?
Yeah, well, one is Ella Joyce. She's one of the original folks who came through. Phyllis Stickney, who's done quite a few movies in Hollywood. Carlise Burke, who is just on the NBC TV show Crowded, which was a TV series. She started in our theater. Lisa Nicole Carson, who has done many movies with Denzel Washington, our own TV series, and then a lot of our young people who've come through the theater, some of them have not gone into the entertainment careers, but they are lawyers. Judy Brown, who's a nationally recognized civil rights attorney. She comes on CNN often. We have just so many young people, motivational speakers, ministers, who started in the theater, and that theater training gave them a real boost and a start to their life's endeavors.
Amen. Is this a theater that up and coming artists can possibly submit some music to you, or your team or your administration, and possibly get to do a performance there as well? Is that sort of opportunity available for
yes,
artists?
it is, and we are always looking for actors who want to work with us. We do about 4 to 5 main stage professional theaters, professional plays a year. We have a youth and children's theater institute in which young people come out to train, and adults, and it's for adults also. And we have a summer theater camp that's now in its 23rd year that occurs every summer for 6 weeks. We also, we always like to, we urge people who have plays that they're interested in having presented, that they send us a synopsis of the play first. During the summer of every year, we present the St. Albans Jazz Festival, which is going into its 15th year. And we have professional artists, name artists performing with local artists and up-and-coming artists. Last year we had Norman Connors, and year before we had Michael Henderson, and we've had Roy Ayers, and all kinds of wonderful artists, Illinois Jacquette, all kinds of artists who've come and graced the stage. It's an outdoor free concert. Then we do a thing called Jazz on the Lawn, which occurs every Thursday evening in July, and that's outdoors. It's a chance for up-and-coming music artists to perform for an audience. And then, of course, during the year we do our concerts. So, like, part of that $99 menu that we give this year, just for $99, and you get a season pass, you're not only getting the Ella Joyce and the Dick Gregory and the Two Trains Running, the Shirley Chisholm and the Sugar Ray Robinson play, but you're also getting 2 concerts. Gene Carn, who's a well-known Philly international recording artist, and then C.P. Lacey, the one of the most impressive and most talented impersonators on the planet. And he does everybody from James Brown to Michael Jackson to, he's performed at the Apollo for years, and so he's going to grace our stage for Mother's Day. And Gene Carn will be there for Valentine's Day. So we just have a lot of great things in store. And again, all of this is available just for $99. You get all of this, but that deal is only good until the 15th of October. So
so we got to put the word out there.
Yeah, let people know about that. And so those are the opportunities for them to perform. And then, on the outside of our building is a saying, and this is what we live by, Black Spectrum Theater nurturing a new generation of artists for the 21st century. And that's what we do. We nurture artists and give them that environment in which they can grow and develop and make mistakes sometimes. And, that's part of the growth process. We're just proud of the work that a lot of people come and present at Black Spectrum Theater.
Well, Mr. Clay, this has really been a learning interview for me. I think I have some new reasons to come up to New York and check out some of what you guys have to offer over there. We're definitely going to run it on the different distribution channels we have and try to get some support coming out to the theater in Queens. Is there anything else you'd like to mention that we probably didn't talk about?
Well, you should also know that I guess 2 things. One is that you can get in touch with us at 718-723-1800, or you can go to our website at www.blackspectrum.com, or we're available on Twitter at #BlackSpectrum. Also, I have a book out on the history of the theater, and it was picked up by Barnes & Noble bookstores. It's on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble online. And that book is called Producing Theater and Film at Black Spectrum. And there's a forward in there by Ruby Dee and Dick Gregory and Woody King and also Paul Mooney and Roy Ayers. They all wrote forwards for my book, and it just chronicles, my life in the theater and how it all started, and some anecdotes for up-and-coming artists, and so it covers a lot of ground. So those are the things
that's something I'll definitely want to get in my collection over here.
Sure. I had a stint writing lyrics for a few movies and some albums on Roy Ayers and Norman Connor's albums, and also doing some of the lyrics for the movie Coffee that featured Pam Grier, up-and-coming star at that time, Pam Grier. So my history, I used to work for Melvin Van Peebles at one time, who was really the godfather of black independent filmmaking. So I worked with him for a number of years, and so it's been a real experience, and wouldn't change it for the world. And so we continue to do our work here at Black Spectrum. We want to thank you so much for having us on and allowing us to share what we do. And this is a fabulous program that you have, and we thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you've been doing for the last 47 years. I mean, I can't even imagine, how that looked. But thank you for what you've done, your contributions for Black history, Black theater, and the young people that came through the Black Spectrum Theater. This is very, very commendable. So thanks again for your time, and we'll definitely be in touch.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care.
You're welcome. All right. Bye.